This is about an article by our colleagues. Pressure on Putin is mounting, according to the Washington Post. According to the publication, Russia is facing growing problems in its war against Ukraine. The advance of its army is not delivering the expected results, financial resources are running low, and Ukrainian long-range strikes are increasingly hitting logistics and military infrastructure. And against this backdrop, the pressure on Putin is said to be increasing, pressure to find a way out of the war. Your post notes that in recent months, an attempts at escalation may indicate that Moscow's trying to resume peace talks and strike a deal on its own terms. Isn't that a bit too optimistic, or are they just seeing what they want to see in them?
Is it?
Host? Well, just because you escalate doesn't mean you want peace talks.
Ocean. That's just how they see it. Look, once again, in order to feel pressure, you need to have emotional intelligence. You have to empathize. You have to respond to how people react to things. You have to listen to people. Putin is a different kind of person. The Washington Post just, well, it's like how they perceive Putin, just the name Putin. There's even a photo hanging in the White House, and that's how they see Putin. Putin is something else. He has constructed a completely different reality. He built it himself. In this reality, he's winning something. He has his tools. He has Poseidon, Zircon, Kinzhal missiles, Oreshnik, actually Topol or Rubezh, really doesn't matter. In this reality of his, he has captured one city. He's already approaching the border of Ukraine and Poland. And it continues on in this manner. He lives in this reality, constantly reinforcing this worldview with reports from his generals, Gerasimov, and the others in his inner circle. His inner circle is very specific. Right now, it serves the war, the military component. All these Rotenbergs, Kovalchuks, and so on, they're making more money now than before the war. There's been a redistribution of property rights in the Russian Federation. There's nationalization, renationalization, then selling off, privatization, and so on. They're all profiting and living in a different reality. Some of them more or less understand what's going on, but Putin himself lives in a reality he's personally constructed. There's no rationality or expertise in it. And moreover, there's no one in it who could say, no, that's not how it works. And since Putin also lacks empathy, he just doesn't care at all. Whether a child was killed or not, it makes no difference to him. On the contrary, he has anti-empathy. He actually likes it when civilians are killed. He really likes it because he has a pathological hatred for people who are stronger. That's all there is to it. So if anyone thinks that he's under pressure, that he'll react to someone in Russia being unhappy about something, look, when he was speaking to the FSB guys, he said, we need to tighten things up even more. We need more bans because, well, security is suffering.
Like the Yarovaya law.
Yeah, exactly. For him, everything is just completely different. And that's why he'll keep living in this reality until they carry him out. It's the standard authoritarian hierarchy. And that's why all these cool conspiracy theories. Shoigu is plotting a coup. I mean, just think about it. That just shows you have no idea who Shoigu is or where he stands in Russia today. There's a conflict between Patrushev and Putin. The younger Patrushev said something at the palace, and so on. And people draw conclusions based on that. That's a complete lack of understanding of what Russia is, who Putin is, and how the power structure works. And let me say, that doesn't mean there won't be large-scale social unrest there, as there always is in Russia. On the contrary, there will be, because Putin, excuse my language, but it's a good Ukrainian word, doesn't have a clue what's going on.
Peskov said that the so-called special military operation needs to continue so that what happened in St. Petersburg doesn't happen again. That everything is burning, on fire, but not like fireworks as they would have liked, but for a completely different reason. What do you think, Mr. Mykhailo, is the current idea behind the so-called special military operation? Because what is being reported to Putin might be completely different from the reality, even as described in Russian media, since a different kind of press is brought into his office. But how has it changed, and what's it like now? Putin is supposed to give an address, perhaps soon.
The only goal of the special military operation is control. Just control. Total control over the domestic market and over foreign markets. Control, subjectivity, and the existence of Putin as the guarantor of Russia's power vertical. That's it. No other functions, and there never were any from the start. Talk of demilitarization and denazification is just noise. They built that narrative for propaganda. Control, that's all. Only that. And really, today it's an either-or situation. Either Putin controls something or he loses. And in the end, he'll pay the highest price. The fact that he's losing and will ultimately pay the highest price is exactly what everyone around him understands. The question is how to get out of this. That's all. So, when you talk about Peskov, I always redirect everything to the redirection is to special medical facilities where you can go so you don't waste time analyzing what Peskov is or what he says. Who exactly is Vladimir Putin? What kind of things does he say? You can go into the specialized psychoneurological hospital wards where you can ask people who live in different realities, how do you see this? And you'll get precisely the same thing that Peskov says. Because anyone who interviews him should really ask just one question. And before you started the war, how many drone strikes were there on the oil terminal in St. Petersburg? How many? And before you even entered Ukraine, what problems did Russia have with business, with the ability to travel to Ukraine, to Odessa, or anywhere else? And then the question arises, so now you're conducting your special military operation to prevent strikes. The logic here should be pretty simple. You're waging this to prevent these strikes, which didn't even happen before you started the special military operation. And then the final question comes up. So if you personally, Peskov or whoever, keep this up, it means there will be even more strikes because your special military operation led to these strikes. And in the end, everything will be destroyed because of your operation. That's the logic. Why do I always say, if you want to understand the logic of these guys, you need to visit psychiatric hospitals, then you'll get it. Negotiating with them only makes sense if you force them to the table, which is exactly what President Zelensky is saying. Force them into negotiations through long-range strikes, through sanctions, and most importantly, something certain moderators just don't get. Russia's soft diplomacy is always seen as an incentive for raising the stakes for escalation, not de-escalation. Soft diplomacy with Russia never works. The only thing that works with them is fear and coercion. When they realize, oh wow, this is leading to us losing, Putin's inner circle, Putin himself, and Russia, of course, though they don't really care much about Russia.